Thanks for coming out. Thanks, Steve. Don't know if I'll be as entertaining as Coach Martin was in his press conference earlier this morning. I saw some of his quotes. So I got to reach out to him and follow up with him on a couple of those as well. But what a great weekend. First of all, for Gamecock Athletics, was obviously at the women's game yesterday. Congrats to Coach Staley and her team. What an awesome environment and an example for so many to see about what this place is about and the fan support we have here. That was awesome to be a part of. I was in Myrtle Beach for a clinic on Saturday and was staying at, or the clinic was at the same hotel that our softball team was staying in. I know they had an awesome weekend down in Myrtle Beach. So congrats to Bev and her squad. Big weekend for baseball. A dramatic win yesterday. And was texting with Coach Kingston last night and told him never in doubt, and just like they drew it up. So fun weekend for those guys. And huge win for women's tennis over Clemson. Good performance by swimming and diving. I know at the SEC Championships in Knoxville, some individuals that really performed well for them. The huge win for men's basketball over LSU on Saturday, and then our men's tennis team and their big win over nationally ranked Kentucky. So I apologize if I left anyone out, but just was thinking of those and earlier on. But awesome weekend for Carolina Athletics, and glad to be back in town here for a while and not have to be traveling for recruiting, and really looking forward to getting out and watching more and more of these teams as we get into the springtime as well. A lot going on with football right now, really busy. Month of February is a dead period in recruiting, so recruiting-wise, nobody's visiting your campus, but obviously the phone calls and the FaceTimes and the letter writing and the text messages and the film evaluation, that doesn't slow down, that only cranks up. So we're busy with that from a recruiting standpoint, eager to get so many talented, elite prospects back on our campus in March when things open back up. Doing a lot of studies as a coaching staff right now on how to be better, looking back at last season, the things that we did well, didn't do well, why we lost games, why we won games, and how to continue to move that forward. Our guys are really doing a great job in the weight room with Coach Day and his staff. We've gotten into being able to do some more activities with them as a coaching staff now that we're back in town and off the road recruiting. So it's been really great to be able to get back involved and jump into that with those guys as well, and be able to do some walkthroughs and some competitive things on the field a couple nights a week that the NCAA allows. Spring practice, it's hard to believe it's cranking up, 3 weeks from tomorrow, I think, March 15th. When our guys get back from spring break. So really looking forward to that, and our spring game on April 16th. I know there's so much excitement and will continue to be about the environment and the atmosphere that will be. Going to have some awesome recruits that have already reached out to me that will be here that night. So we need to make that the most attended spring football game, Garnet and Black game in South Carolina football history, because it's going to be an awesome night for sure. Our coaches clinic is coming up on March 25th. Really excited about the group of speakers that we have coming in for that. Danny Smith from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Matt Rule from the Carolina Panthers, and Brett Favre, who will be really entertaining when he's here as well. So that's going to be a fun weekend, getting to visit with so many great coaches across the area as well. And then our Ladies' Day will be on April 2nd also. I think we've still got some spots left on that one, but that is filling up quick. And I know from bumping into so many interested participants yesterday at the women's basketball game, there's a lot of excitement about that, and really looking forward to being a part of that on April 2nd also. So much going on with Gamecock football. And looking forward to continuing to get better here these next few weeks and then get out on the field for spring practice. Know you guys are here today to hear from Jody and somebody that I'm really excited about adding to our program. I've known Jody Wright for almost 20 years, since I was at Mississippi State. And I was still young and just getting into the profession, and he was just getting into the profession, but was obvious in his work ethic and what a go-getter he is. And then since then, somebody that I've kept in touch with over the years and have always had a lot of respect for. A guy that's coached multiple positions, which I think is really appealing from a coaching standpoint. The fact that he's coached different positions on offense. He's coached the entire offensive line for a highly successful program at UAB. NFL experience with 2 different NFL teams and the football that he's learned there. Also Coach Saban and the University of Alabama have hired him not once but twice, so I think that speaks volumes as well. And then you guys will find out he is a people person that I've yet to find anybody to ever say, I probably haven't looked hard enough, anybody to say anything bad about him. But I talked to the last 3 head coaches that he worked for, Joe Judge, Freddie Kitchens, and Bill Clark at UAB, along with so many others when I was, thinking about bringing him on board our staff. And all 3 of those guys couldn't have been more over the top in their praise of him, as well as the people that he's been around, the other assistant coaches. He's a fantastic recruiter. His experience there will help us in so many ways. And then he's just a great fit for our staff, and that's what I was looking for with this position, somebody that would be a great fit for our tight ends and where they're going and continuing to build on the things they did last year, but then in our offensive staff room and overall coaching staff as well. He'll be a great fit from a knowledge standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, personality standpoint, and has done a great job in his short time here, and excited about him being here with us and looking forward to you guys getting to know him. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions before we turn it over to Jody.
Shane, you mentioned it's a dead period and everything, but is there, from the recruiting stand, I know you never stop, is there anything you're looking to actively add before spring practice, like a position of need, saying we got to go get this before March begins? Not
really. There's certainly still some positions in need. We actually had a walk-on tryout 2 weeks ago, I believe, and I had a lot of great competitors, students that came out that day to try out. So I want to thank all those guys from our student body that came out for that walk-on tryout. We had them over here at 6 a.m., and it was a huge group of guys. And we only have a limited number of roster spots available, but we kept some guys out of that tryout that we're excited about that, you kind of look at them and it's like, how'd they end up here and not playing somewhere else and not on the football team when they came here? So looking forward. So those are some positions, David, that I think will help us in spring practice as well. We're pretty well set. If you look at the depth, the tight end position's a concern right now just because of the lack of depth going into spring practice with where we are at that position and just bodies, but that's nothing imminent that we're going to hire anyone. And then I think certainly as we go through spring practice, kind of see where we are as a team and where we need more depth at and more competition at, and we can certainly look to address that after spring practice.
Shane, I think Frank got asked about this morning too, but as far as NIL stuff, I know that's something that's come up a little bit more, at least over the last year, and now that you guys have had kind of a year with it a little bit, I guess, how is that something that y'all are incorporating into recruiting, if at all? How much are you guys allowed to do with it, and what's sort of that been like? I know it's a little bit of a moving target with it some.
Yeah, no, it is. It's certainly changing and a lot more on the minds of the young men that we recruit now compared to last year at this time. So we're not going to bury our head in the sand and pretend like it's not an aspect that young men are looking at. I mean, they're bringing it up to us in conversations, and we tell them, like we tell every prospect, that I believe that at the University of South Carolina we're as well situated as any program out there for them to be able to capitalize on opportunities because of this fan base, because we're the capital of South Carolina, because we don't compete with other pro sports, because in this state we're in the SEC, on and on and on and on and on. And we certainly can't, arrange deals and things like that as well. But we're certainly trying to make our young men that we're recruiting aware of the possibilities that are here and what, some of our guys have done and what may be coming and things like that as well. I'm thankful for Chance Miller and Hillary Cox and our administration that are on the forefront of it and doing a great job of, one, educating, our student athletes, but two, constantly trying to stay one step ahead and put our guys in the best position to be able to, capitalize on opportunities while they're here in college.
3 weeks out, do you know of anyone that's going to be limited or miss spring practice at all?
No, I should have. You got me, Colin. I should have brought an injury report in here. We'll certainly have some guys that are limited as we go into it. Nobody that I think is just going to be completely, out. I'll have a better idea of that next time we come in here. I know we've got a couple things planned with you guys and ladies before spring practice starts, but nobody that we're just going to say is not going to be able to do anything. But certainly guys like you guys that are aware of, Wanham's coming off surgery, Luke Doty's coming off his injury. I don't think they're going to be necessarily 100% when we start practice, but they're all trending in the right direction, and we'll all be able to do something during the springtime.
you mentioned the walkthroughs and the competitive toughness stuff. How much can you learn about your team during that, and what have you learned getting to observe some of that stuff?
That's a good point, or good question. I think you can learn a lot. One, we're able to watch them run around, and you see the athleticism, and you see that from just a physical skill set standpoint. But you learn a lot about them, just their competitive spirit, and it's been fun being out there with them. We've only been out there with them for a couple nights, but building on what Coach Day's done in the weight room, this is a group that I think they're very businesslike and professional when they go out there. They go out there to get their work done, and they're very professional and mature about it. And I think we're excited about, I know I'm excited about the new additions to the program. When they come in, they don't look lost. They stand out when they go out there. We've got some guys that are new arrivals that love to compete and have done a great job of coming right in and jumping into what we're doing and doing a great job of it.
Hey, Shane. Are you trying to kind of establish the program as a destination place for transfers, or do you think you've kind of already done that with this latest class of transfers? And if so, how important is that to you?
I would like to establish this as a destination place for any young man that wants to come and get an elite education and play football at the highest level in college athletics in the SEC. And I think that the program that we have here and the environment that we've created, people are seeing that you can come here and you can have a great experience as a student athlete, period, whether you're coming from another college or whether you're coming from the high school ranks. And in regards to the transfers specifically, Gene, I think it all depends on the experience that the guys before you had, and certainly the guys that we brought in as transfers this year had a great experience and played meaningful snaps for us, whether it be our starting quarterback with Jason Brown or the David Spalding and Carlin Patel, who were our starting nickels the entire season, and guys that did a great job on special teams like Debo Williams, and on and on and on and on with the guys that we brought in. So if you look at every transfer that we brought in last year, you don't look at any of them and say, we missed on that guy. Knock on wood. I mean, we did a great job of hitting on all of them. And then those transfers that came in here this year, the new ones, I think they saw what those guys did last year and certainly saw that, guys can come in here and have a great experience. And this is an environment that a lot of guys want to be a part of. And I want that to be the case for everyone, because we always want to start with the high school recruiting and always will. But certainly every year you're going to have to utilize the transfer portal, some years more than others.
What have you seen from Spencer Rattler, both in terms of what have you been able to see in the weight room and on the field, and also his interaction with the players in the offensive room? And secondly, his dad is pretty active in social media. It appears, good and bad stuff. What's your relationship with him, and is that something you gotta kind of keep an eye on?
Good and bad, those are your words. I mean, some people may not think I don't know what he's doing on social media, but I don't think it's much of anything. I think his dad's a hell of a person, and I love his dad. He's a great family. Spencer is very, 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 very grounded, and and a great young man. Looking forward to you guys getting to know him. That's what I know about him, and he's done a great job of coming into this program and immersing himself within the team and being a great teammate.
Shane, I guess last Friday the Board of Trustees approved a bunch of contracts and enhancements and raises for some of your guys. I guess it was important to you to have that done for them. And also, I got to ask, was there anything we can read into the people who were not?
But really, we're asking about dads of players, Phil? I mean, come on, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I got 119 dads and moms. Are we going to comment on what all of them are putting on social media? Go ahead.
I guess it was important to you to reward, members of your staff and extend contracts. That was an important deal to get done. And on the other side, is there anything we can look to for the guys on your staff who were not part of that group who got extensions and raises?
I think every situation is different for sure, and I'm thankful that Coach Tanner and our administration, Chance, Dorn Smith, and our board allowed me the opportunity to take care of some guys. And every situation is different. It may be job offers at other places. It may be conversations that me and that assistant coach had last year when I hired them, about some things that we'd like to do a year from now wise because of their salary and things like that as well. So I think that's where we are right now with that group. But I will say this, I have 1,000% confidence in every single coach, staff member that I have in this program. And if I didn't, and if the people around me didn't, they wouldn't be here. Nobody has ever told me I had to do something with the staff, whether it be hiring, firing, whatever it may be. And I believe in all these guys. I told them that last week, and excited about all of them, and glad we're all together, and excited about the continuity that we're able to continue as well as we go into 2022.
Shane, you kind of mentioned before with the competition standpoint, but how have the players been blending in with the players that obviously were here previously? How's that going? And, one thing in particular that I heard that drew something that Spencer enjoyed with the visit was the nutritional side of it in comparison to some of the other schools. So I didn't know if you could add to that and just, some of that as well.
Yeah, the first part was the new guys coming in. They've done great. Don't look like new guys, and it's a unique situation because last year the guys that we brought into this program, they weren't as maybe as many recognizable names as this year. I don't know how many people knew who Jason Brown was when we brought him in here last year, or Carlins Patel. People know who Spencer Rattler and a lot of these other guys, Terrell Dawkins and Christian Beal Smith, because of where they're coming from. So it's a little bit of a different situation for them this year because of where they're coming from. But they've been great because it is unique. You're coming in, you've rushed for all the yards that you rushed for at Wake Forest, or you've had the defensive plays that you had at NC State, or you threw the touchdown passes that you threw at Oklahoma and caught the passes you did at James Madison and made the interceptions that you made at Central Michigan. Talk about all these guys. So you've established some credibility before you came in here. And they're great young men. And I think I've talked about it in here with you guys before. So many of these guys, we don't just start signing guys to sign guys. We're very deliberate to make sure they're the right fit for this program as well. And they have been. They've done a great job and have really bought in, worked hard, and done a great job. And the nutrition, there's no question about it. There's so many prospects that we bring on campus, whether it be for a junior day or an official visit, that when the weekend's over, when I'm sitting with them in my office, I'll ask them, what was your favorite part of the weekend? So many of them say the nutrition part of it with Kristen and her team. They do a fantastic job. And she's an asset for us, and Kristen Coggin is awesome. Jody had worked with her at Alabama and knows her as well. And that's a big selling point because it's and again, thanks to our administration for the resources they give us from a nutrition standpoint, because I know from being in other schools, it's not like this everywhere. And all of our coaches will tell you they have to be very disciplined with their exercise routine and diet, because if you're not careful, you can put on a lot of weight here quickly with the amount of food that's being served throughout the day.
Hey, Shane, just wanted to get your thoughts on what happened at the end of the Michigan-Wisconsin basketball game yesterday. And have you ever been in a handshake line where things got pretty heated between the coaches?
No. I wish I had a great story for you that I had, but I really don't. It was a tough situation. You hate to see that escalate like it did, and certainly, that right after the game like that, it's very intense, for both sides, and the emotions are high, and not to excuse it, but those are intense things at the end of the game. And my father-in-law, Jody knows him. My father-in-law for years was the state trooper, highway patrolman that did all the team security for Mississippi State. So he's got some great stories because he used to guard Jackie Sherrill, back in the day. So he's got some great stories about coming to midfield with Jackie Sherrill and some of the things that opposing assistant or head coaches, those conversations with those guys. But I've got 13 of those experiences, a post-game handshake with a head coach, and I would say they've all been, pretty cordial. There's a couple that are a little bit more short and terse than maybe others, but nothing to that level, and hope there never is.
One more thing. After your performance yesterday before the women's basketball game, any interest from any coaches about bringing you on as the permanent pregame hype man?
Well, that crowd was in such a frenzy yesterday. I told somebody earlier they brought in like the B team because they didn't need that hype guy to do too much because they were already ready to play. But it was pretty cool to be a part of. No entrance. No one's reached out to me today about being that pregame hype person. Maybe they will, but that was a neat experience for me and really awesome, and humbled to be able to go out there and be a part of that atmosphere yesterday, and what an awesome win. And great seeing so many of our former players. Awesome seeing Stephon Gilmore bring his family back for the game. Awesome seeing J.C. Horn there. Great being around, Debo Samuel as well, and getting to visit with him during the game and after the game as well. And seeing Commissioner Sankey here is just a great testament about what was going on in that building yesterday and everything that Don's built.
Shane, I'm curious, is there a way even, a few weeks out before spring even starts for the coaching staff to possibly project anyone that would decide not to be here after spring practice, so maybe you get a little bit ahead in terms of what you would need to look for?
Currently on our team, you mean? No, I would hope not. I mean, I'm sure, at every position, I think we're no different than any other program, across college football. You brace or anticipate, whatever the word is, some potential attrition after spring practice for different reasons. But no, I mean, we're going full speed ahead, Corey, on every single person that's in this program is going to have a remarkable spring and maximize their abilities and put all themselves in position to have a meaningful role in 2022. And then certainly after spring practice, if this isn't the right situation for them for whatever reason, we'll have those conversations. But, I hope not. And I think it's more, with so many guys, it's playing time. But I do believe, knock on wood, that the guys in our program are having a really great experience here as South Carolina football players because of the people in this program, the way we care about one another, the degree that they're having a chance to complete, here at Carolina, and it's a great place to live. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But again, anyone that's ever left our program, I've had a great conversation with, and we've left on great terms, and hope you don't have many of them, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Are there any guys you're experimenting with moving positions, or do you guys try to do those things once you're actually in spring practice? And
we will. I mean, certainly, Hale, we're able to do some of the stuff in the walkthroughs right now. So if a guy is going to be doing something at a different position, now is the time to kind of get the ball rolling on that. Not really. Donovan Westmoreland, who we signed, Donovan's here now. I think we listed him as a edge, I believe, is what he was listed as. Donovan's got some positional flexibility where I think he could be a inside type linebacker, could potentially be an edge guy, rushing the passer. Those are different things that we're, messing around with. Bam Scott, that was on our team last year, that's another similar situation. Those guys have some positional flexibility. But other than that, no, not really. Continuing to kind of evolve, what we're doing with Jaheim Bell, and obviously DeCarrion's shown what he can do, and continuing to expand his role in different people. But as far as straight up position changes, no.
And part of the reason I asked that was for the edge position specifically, with some of the guys you lost last year, and
yeah.
I guess don't have a ton of returning experience per
Yeah,
se.
no, we don't, and that's a concern. I mean, it was a concern. It was a concern in recruiting. We knew that was a major position for us because JJ was probably going to leave, which he did, and then Aaron Sterling was leaving. And you've got some older guys there right now with Strawn and Tyreek Johnson. So that is a position without a lot of depth that we need to continue to expand, and there's different ways of doing that. So there's nobody that we've moved there and said you're definitely going to be an edge guy, but we've got to continue to find guys maximize that position. And a lot of that too, Hale, is situational. You know, a guy may be better, you know, maybe a linebacker on first and second down, and he's a guy that can go play on the edge and rush the passer on third down and do some different things from that standpoint as well. But we've got to, increase the competition and the depth at that position, and then 2, you know, find ways to generate a better pass rush too from that spot going forward also.
Hey, Shane, you mentioned earlier how you're trying to build South Carolina into a destination that all players want to come play at, but I feel like also you mentioned that assistant coaches this offseason specifically have had a lot of chances and offers to leave but have chosen to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jody could speak to this also, but I'm curious from your vantage point as the head coach, what are some of the things that you're doing to try to make this a destination for coaches that want to come and coach here?
Good question. One, I think there's a lot that I don't have to do. South Carolina's a great state to live in. Columbia's a great place to live in. And you've got great resources and all the things that I talk about that we have to recruit student athletes here. It's the same thing for us as coaches to give us a chance to be successful. And so that's a fun part of it. You're in the SEC, so there's a lot of reasons that coaches want to come here naturally. And then I think for me personally, the environment that I try and create in here, it's demanding and it's hard work, and there's a lot of accountability for the players and amongst the coaching staff as well. But try and treat people right, and I'm not a guy that's going to be, treating people like dogs, during the week and stuff like that. I mean, I've been an assistant coach for 22 years before I became a head coach, and I try not to forget what it was like to be an assistant coach. But a place where they know their families are always welcome and around, and I want the families to be a part of it. This profession's really hard, and there's a lot of time demands because of it. So I want our families to be able to come up here, during the week and feel comfortable and be involved with the players, and hold the assistant coaches accountable, but also give them the freedom to do their jobs. I don't want to be just a micromanager on every single thing and telling Jody how to coach the tight ends or telling Clayton White how to coach the linebackers. Hire good people. Let them coach, let them do their jobs, work hard, try and have a lot of fun doing it. And then at the end of the day, just treat people right. And then for me, just trying to be consistent with these guys day in, day out, where they know what they're getting from me, if that makes sense.
Shane, very off topic here, but youth sports, it's not like it was when we were growing up where you played a little bit of everything. Now kids like to specialize in one thing. Good or bad?
Bad, in my opinion. I think I love recruiting athletes that play other sports, and I think you get to see a lot when guys are able to go out recruiting, and you could watch a track meet, or you could watch a baseball game, or Ryan Brubaker is a competitive swimmer. I think the more opportunities that you have to compete in different sports only helps you, and just being able to stay active and not, I think, get burned out in some sports as well. And again, I'm not knocking anybody that does specialize in one sport, because I know there's a lot that goes into it as well. But at least early on as they're growing up, you and me and a lot of people in this room probably grew up coming home from school and you were just outside playing all day. And I know I got back from the women's basketball game yesterday, and my wife went for a walk, and I came home, and Hunter, my son, was in the street with all of his buddies playing different sports, and then that turned into like a mega Nerf gun war where they had like armies up and down the street hiding behind bushes. I mean, it was dangerous out there yesterday in the road. But I think the more that guys are just outside and active and playing different things. I wasn't a great athlete in high school by any stretch of the imagination, but I think playing baseball helped me with football, and football helped me with baseball. And the guys that I knew that played 3 sports, I think it kept them fresh and developed a skill set in other sports that helped with the sport they were playing as well.
Involved in the Nerf war at all?
I was hiding. I was hiding. There was they started shooting at us when we were walking down the street, so we got out of the way. But they had a lot of fun. But so I was not. But they certainly they had a good time, that's for sure.
I was just going to ask, as far as next week, you got JJ, Z, and Kevin are going to be at the Combine. I guess just what can folks kind of expect, at least at the NFL level, out of those guys? And, what do you see about those guys that maybe makes them appealing to NFL teams? And sort of what was your experience coaching those guys? I know it was just for a year, but.
Yeah, no, I think great guys, first and foremost. When I've had, some NFL teams have called me asking about those guys already, and I would tell them the same thing, that, you got, those are great guys, first and foremost. A lot of our success, the success that we had, the 7 wins and winning a bowl game, was because of the way that they handled their last year, and they played good football and were good leaders for us. And all 3 of those guys we're certainly going to miss, and they're hard workers that will, handle their business the right way. That won't be an issue for NFL teams off the field, and all 3 of them are the kind of guys that you would want on your team. So I'm excited to watch them perform and wish them the best of luck. Okay. Thanks, guys.